It's 3 in the morning. Your eyes open in the dark. Nothing woke you. No noise, no dream you can remember. You're just awake. You check the time, feel a flicker of dread, and tell yourself the same thing you always do. Something's wrong with me. I can't even sleep right. But what if nothing is wrong with you? What if that 3 a.m. waking isn't a malfunction, but a memory? A rhythm your body has run for thousands of years that the modern world quietly switched off and never told you about. For most of human history, the way you sleep tonight would have seemed bizarre, because your ancestors didn't sleep the way you do, and the proof hid in plain sight for centuries, until one historian went looking. In 2001, a historian named A. Roger Ekirch published a study that quietly upended what we thought we knew about sleep. He hadn't set out to study sleep. He was researching the history of nighttime. But as he dug through old diaries, court records, medical books, and poetry, he kept tripping over the same strange phrase across centuries. First, sleep, and later in the night, second sleep. The references piled up, hundreds of them, and they all described the same thing. People did not sleep in one solid block. They went to bed a couple of hours after dark, slept for around 3 to 4 hours, their first sleep, and then woke up, in the dead of night, on purpose. And here's the part that changes everything. They stayed awake for an hour or two in the middle of the night. Not anxiously, calmly. It was simply part of the night. Then they drifted back down into their second sleep until morning. This wasn't one strange century. Ekirch found the pattern stretching from ancient times to the 1800s, the earliest hint sitting right there in Homer's Odyssey, written nearly 3,000 years ago. For thousands of years, this was simply how humans slept, which raises an unsettling question. What were people doing in those dark, waking hours? Picture it. You wake, as expected, around midnight. The fire's down to embers. The house is silent. You have an hour or two before sleep returns. What do? The old records answer in surprising detail. Some people simply stayed in bed and thought. They lay in the dark and turned over the day, or pondered the dream they'd just surfaced from while it was still vivid. Others got up. They tended the fire, checked on children, prayed. Neighbors quietly visited neighbors, and a 16th century French physician noted, rather frankly, that this was the hour couples often turned to each other, rested after a first sleep. There was even a name for this state of calm, alert wakefulness, a quiet, almost meditative window when the world was still and the mind was clear. For our ancestors, it wasn't a problem. It was one of the most peaceful parts of being alive. And that should stop you. Because the thing we now panic about was, for most of human history, a feature, not a flaw. So why does almost no one experience it now? What turned it off? The answer sits in nearly every room you walk into. Light. For almost all of human history, when the sun went down, the world went genuinely dark. A bit of firelight, a candle if you could afford one, that was it. And in that long darkness, the body had room to split sleep into two. Then we lit up the night. Street lamps, cheaper candles, gas lamps, and finally, in 1879, the electric bulb. Within a single generation, the long, dark night humans had known for hundreds of thousands of years simply vanished. We pushed the evening later and later, and the gap between two sleeps got squeezed until it closed. But here's the most remarkable part, where history met hard science. In 1992, a psychiatrist at the National Institute of Mental Health named Thomas Ware tested exactly this. He took healthy people and gave them long nights, 14 hours of darkness every night for a month, roughly what your ancestors lived through. At first, they slept in one long catch-up block, but by the 4th week, something extraordinary happened on its own. Their sleep split in two. Several hours of sleep, then 1 to 3 hours of calm wakefulness in the middle of the night, then a second sleep until morning. Nobody told them to do this. Strip away artificial light, give the body a long, true night, and an ancient pattern resurfaced. as if it had been waiting under the surface the whole time. History had found the pattern in old diaries. Ware reproduced it in a lab. So let's go back to you, lying awake at 3 a.m. Modern sleep science still debates how much to read into a single night's waking. Bodies and lives vary, and not every restless night is an echo of the past. But the deep point holds. The 8-hour, unbroken night we treat as good sleep may be one of the more modern things about you, closer to an invention than a law of nature. So the next time you wake in the dark and feel that flicker of dread, consider a different story. Your body, in that quiet hour, isn't broken. It might simply be remembering something it was built to do, long before there were clocks to make you anxious or screens to keep you up. You're not malfunctioning. You might just be running very, very old software. And that 3 a.m. dread, the fear of the dark itself, turns out to have its own ancient story. One written into your body by the things that used to hunt us. But that's the next one.